Communicating with higher frequency entities can be extremely dangerous. So I made a video previously where I say that it is okay to communicate with higher frequency beings. And of course, there was a person who kindly made a comment that it sometimes can be dangerous, which I agree completely. So I wanted to clarify that in this video today. So for those of you who like the contents of my video, please don't forget to press like and subscribe. If you haven't already, this will greatly help my channel to be able to reach out to more people. For those of you who don't know me, I am Osman. I am hashtag the blind Muslim yogi. I am a bioenergy healer with telepathic healing capabilities on a master level, specializing in critical care recovery and terminal illnesses, amongst a host of other physiological, psychological, and even um, spiritual ailments. I'm also an advanced level yoga and meditation teacher, having been practicing this art form for almost 50 years and teaching for 46 years. And in that period, studied over under some great masters and teachers from different schools of thought, from different cultures across the globe, from the Far East, the Middle East, the West, including the scientific communities. And I've been always teaching all my lessons for free. All my videos are free. All the information, I don't hold back. I don't call you to come to subscribe to any weekend getaway or anything, or there's no need for any diksha or initiation, because actually I found, alternative ways. Myself was never initiated, right? And attained Samadhi by the age of 19, and found shorter and easier ways for anyone from any walk of life to be able to very safely navigate this yogic path. Okay, so I've also have an amazing a number of students from over 100 countries to date, and I've created my own unique protocols. My favorite protocol is my 5-minute yoga and meditation program, which you can download for free by visiting my website yogawellness786.com. And also in these videos, you can go under my playlists and favorites. I've already got my pranayama protocol, which I believe is the crux of all yoga, under that. And I try to include all the other protocols as well under my favorites, so that you can quickly be able to refer to them. When you go to my channel, go to favorites, and you can find it there. Then you can get the lessons without having to go to a yoga class and teaching. And you're welcome to connect with me if you have any questions and so forth, for further guidance and so forth, right? It's all free. um, Only my energy healing is my source of income. So coming back to this, communicating with higher frequency beings, the comment was that he found that it can be dangerous as well, to be very cautious. Yes, so there are, I would say, in my opinion, broadly three categories of higher frequency or alternative frequency beings. You get the lower entities, mm, or the dangerous entities, or the dark entities. We say the darker entities from the darker worlds, because if you go into um, the dimensions through meditations or DMT, or mushrooms, right? So people think it's hallucinations. So some of it could be hallucination, some of it could be, visiting those high other realms. So it's a very nuanced and very difficult to prove empirically, right? But with my extensive experience in this field, I would say there are darker entities where you go to those worlds. It's a lot of darkness, and the entities or the beings, right? It's a better word because it's not human, right? Um, Very can be extremely dangerous and very sweet talking and make all promises to you, and invariably there would be a trap for you, right? So they wouldn't make a deal where they are the winner and you are a loser, right? If that is not the case. they usually will make it sound so appealing to you, but you'll in the end be cheated, right? And you'll be the loser. This is generally with the the warning that that is being said. You're going into this protocols to be able to call, and they are, you can download, there's YouTube videos, there's internet, you can download these books for free, and you can start incanting, doing those incantations, and and some of these books are genuine, right? So those entities will come. However, you have to do research on these type of entities and try to do, not just follow one book, right? So you have to do wide research, because you're going to call these entities, which are very dangerous, into your home. So some of the people who are professional in these fields, who are doing it for 10, 20 years plus, they can be a guide for you, right? For example, in the yoga meditation field, I'm doing this now for about 50 years, almost 50 years, right? So there are some incantations and mantras that I've tried and found not to be dangerous, right? So I can recommend those, right? So, but with regard to the darker spirits, right, these can be extremely dangerous, and they normally do the incantations outdoors or in an alternative location, not in the home, because they usually have family members and so forth that these entities can harm them, right? Or they may come and take residence in your home, and you don't want these type of entities who are very dangerous. It's like serial killers, right? Bringing into your home. You can't do that. So try to listen to more, videos and podcasts on the occult, and try to, before, I would suggest, go into, if you're new into this, take about a year before you get into this, right? Officially yourself. And even when you're listening to these type of things, you're already inviting them. When you're thinking about them, you're already inviting them. Don't even think about them and so forth, right? Go to a library, you know a public library or a public location where you're going to listen to these type of things, because thinking about, and when you're at home, don't think about, don't even change your focus to something else. So this is what the warning is, the danger, because these entities, and they can assume very amazing forms and beautiful forms, and human forms, and they can even appear, they have great power, they can appear in front of you as a real human being, right? And it may seem like a real human being. I don't know of such incidents, but I suspect, right? But they can communicate with you, in your mind, and you may feel like you hearing, but no one else will be able to hear them, right? And so forth. And they can be very convincing and very sweet talking, and you have to be absolutely careful what type of deal you go. So, with regard to such dangerous frequencies, right? I'm an energy healer, also specialize. Also, one of the things that I can heal is spiritual problems, right? So, where there was one of my clients, he made a deal. He's also a healer, and but he's more, he can cast spells, and he can heal people as well. And he made a deal with one of these darker frequencies, and the result was he became very famous, and he started to get financial, and it was working, right? I mean, the darker entities came through for him. He was getting money in, bag loads of cash. They come and deliver to him his share of the deal, right, in cash. And when we say, like the sport bag, right, a rucksack full of $100 bills, or but high note bills packed. I used to get like that. And what he got very complacent, and I don't know. He never tell me what was his end of the bargain, what he was supposed to do, right? And maybe it is something that he didn't want to tell me because it's going to sound freaky, right? And I never delve into it because my job is to solve his problem. So he said he didn't keep his end of the deal. And as a result, his soul was captured, or his life force, main life force energy was trapped, right? That he could not succeed anymore and he lost his health and he was considered to have a terminal illness. He became almost half the size, skin and bone, very skinny and small in size, shriveled, right? And he was, when I saw him later, I think about a year later, I couldn't recognize him. He was, built up so much weight after I completely, removed his problem. So he said his life force and all his energies are trapped and are trapped by this entity which is in the lowest um, world, in the lower worlds, right? You get the higher worlds and the lower worlds. It's in the lowest level. Well, some people say it is underground and below the earth and so forth. I mean, I've visited that place. It is another dimension. You can't go digging in the ground and drilling and go to the center of the earth. You're not going to find anything there. But it is, you're going lower and lower, and it's very dark there. And so I don't want to discuss too much about it because those are freaking. Just suffice to say that I had some, I started to do my energy healing to have it released, and then I suddenly had to communicate with this entity, and the entity when it was communicating to me, man, sound very civilized, like an amazing, like a gentleman I was talking to, right? And that's what I can say. And I had a very pleasant experience, right? And of course, we had to do, a deal, which I had to make a deal on behalf of the client. And this time I made sure I kept to the deal, right? And so then his soul got released and his health started to return. And he was able to get back his business and he started to trade again. And he was building up again. A year later, when I couldn't recognize him, right? So, this is some of the type of things that can happen, right? When you're dealing and you thinking like you're dealing with humans. Dealing with humans, okay, it's human. Okay, I forgot. With these entities, no, I forgot. There's no I forgot. You make a vow, a promise, you will not miss a single day. You miss a day, oh, man, it's a risk to your life. I'll give you a second example, right? Because I like to talk from personal experience, right? I don't want to talk from theory, what I read in books. We don't know what is true and what is not true, right? And with regard to me speaking to this entity, whether it can be hallucination or imagination, yes, it could be. It could be, right? I admit it could be my imagination, but we look at the result. So I'm doing this from around 8 years old. I'm now 57 years old. So technically, I'm doing this now for 50 years, right? If we count, the age of 8, and probably before that. And I was born with this gift, but I studied it deeper and deeper and doing certain protocols in order to increase my energy, healing energy, and capacity to, um, help people who have problems that normal medical methods cannot help, and things that go bump in the night, right? And people feel that they have negative energies in them or there is some possession and so forth. Not that I'm so powerful but I haven't. I've managed to resolve very serious problems that many other people couldn't resolve. And some of the problems where people were suffering for like 20 years plus, and I managed to resolve not only physical ailments, but also, spiritual problems, right? Where they felt their homes were possessed and so forth. And so people, go into, visiting and getting involved in these type of things and watching these type of movies in your home, right? And bringing these things, you are inviting these things to your home. There was this second client. I don't know what they did, right? What they were doing, but they ended up. It was a lady, and her partner even left her because he couldn't handle the problem, right? So, middle of the night, right? Not exactly midnight or something, but she said like the middle of the night when they were sleeping, They could hear banging noises and so forth, pots and pans and rattling, right? And when they go in the kitchen, they see all the pots and pans all laid out on the floor. So this was in South Africa, and in South Africa, there's a common superstition that there's a spirit called a poltergeist. So if you can do more research on that and go and watch the movie Poltergeist 1, 2, and 3, right, to know more about them. So she was complaining. She was saying that this is what was troubling, and then I did an incantation, right, um, uh, in the home, and I said I don't know whether it'll work or not, and I just did it. But 2 weeks later, she called me and she said, "Look, I didn't want to call you immediately. I wanted to be sure because every night she had this problem. And for 2 weeks, not a single day was the problem and it's completely eliminated. So thank you very much. The problem is gone. So people are doing their own things. You're not going physically doing some seance or something, but you're talking about these things and you're getting involved in these things. So you're inviting these things, right? So I'll give you a third example, right? Third example, my young daughter, 11 years old. I don't like to bring my family into this picture. I don't know why I mentioned it, but anyway, I already mentioned it. But at least you know it's something close, right? So even that other lady where the problem was, a relative of mine. So this, my daughter, you know, she loved this doll called Labubu, right? So I don't even I mean I'm blind, so I lost my eyesight before I knew, but it looks freakish, right? And they're all and I believe they all different colors and they look like demons, right? And in a doll form, right? And it comes in a box, and and she got it and she bought it, and her mother gave her the money, to buy it, and she bought it and brought it home, where she's living. She's not. I'm divorced, so I'm not, and she's her mother is working as well and in a different country. I'm in a different country and she is in a different country, three different countries, right? So she started to say she couldn't understand there's so much of fighting in the house. There's like arguments all the time, and she and her cousin, she knows a cousin all 11, she's 11, she knows a cousin for 11 years, right? And she basically grew up there with a cousin, and suddenly she had an amazing, and she's having arguments all the time. And she said, maybe there's some truth in this thing, that these things carry a negative energy, right? You're bringing the form, right, of this thing. And she said she's gonna, get rid of it. I said, yeah, yeah, give it to some. She said, no, I will not give it for free. For free? No, I paid money for it. I will give it for money. Already 11 years old and already like a young woman, right? And smart, a business. But I mean, these type of things you even throw in a garbage can, right? So I mean, I try to warn them. They don't believe me about this thing, and I'm not someone who wants to control people's life. All you can do is advise, right? And you don't force people. You can explain things, and they must have it. Some people want to be curious and learn these things on their own. So that's the another story, right? And the biggest story, which I've mentioned previously in a video, there was another healer who was very advanced. He helped me and he taught me a lot of things, right? But there came some type of level that he wants to learn how to. He had so much of power. He could do so many things, right, with mantras, right? And this is specifically with mantras, that he said there are some mantras where you can even recite it and you can kill the person. I said, what are you talking about killing people? We should not even discussing. He said, no, he wants to learn that mantra. He wants to. I said, for what? Are you crazy? You know, he said, no, maybe some people want to kill you and you need to defend yourself. And if you defend, let's look at a realistic situation, right? There was a friend of mine, um, his son, the home was broken into, right? And the intruder was in the house, and he took out an axe that he had to defend himself, and he went there and he chopped. He went because the person was fighting him, right? And he used it to defend himself, but with that hit in that altercation, he hit a strong blow with his axe and he clean took that person's head off, right? Then he got tried for murder and he got convicted for murder, like culpable murder in the second degree or third degree, right? They feel that he should not have pointed the axe with the neck. He should have pointed the axe, somewhere else that is not lethal. Now, in that time, you are in a panic, you are in a frenzy, and you are afraid. You got your family with you, your children with you, and there's an intruder in your house fighting you, and he's in jail for murder, right? Not for a long term because the intruder came to his home, but I think about 10 years or so, right? In prison, or maybe longer. I didn't ask how many years, right? But he is in prison for it. So in situations like that is what this person was saying. He said, the laws of country are so bad that you can use, but you have an enemy. What is that? Murder, right? Still, because you're planning it. And dismissed. I said, don't discuss such topics with me and so forth, right? So I don't know what he did. Eventually, I found that he was doing some big prayer and sacrifice because he was doing a mantra with one of the from a mantra book from India, a book of mantras that have very benign mantras and also some powerful mantras, right? These are for mantra people who learn to be able to help people and to remove evil spirits and so forth, right? So he obviously must have got it from there, is what I'm assuming, right? I didn't ask because I never want to go deep into it. But he did some type of prayer, so it was in a temple situation. So he was obviously doing a mantra for one of the goddesses, right? Or, like, I don't believe there's gods and goddesses, the Devis, right? He was doing it. So he had to do a sacrifice, right, for that the thing. And it was a big ceremony. He did it. And the day he did it, that night, so he did it and he died that night at the age of 39 years old. And he had a history of asthma, so he suffocated to death, right? And he was found dead, in his bed. The next morning, he didn't wake up, and his wife complained that he's not waking up, and they called and then they found that he was dead. They called the paramedics and all that. He was dead. So what I suspect is he tried, or I suspect, right? The evidence is that he wanted to learn this thing, how to. And then another thing, what I know is that he was doing some animal sacrifice to some devi in a temple situation, right? These devis are like similar to, I don't know whether it is Kali or Bhairava or something like that, right? These are very powerful and dangerous. You don't play games. They can be dangerous. For example, I know you get the Mahavidyas. In Tantra, you get the Mahavidyas. In the Mahavidyas, they say the Devi called the sixth Devi called Channamasta is said to be extremely dangerous. You must not, it's not for normal people. You don't just, if you want to recite that mantra, you must first do a Kali mantra for 1 year, because you can't, with the Devis, with the Tantras, the Mahavidyas, you can do a 21-day or a 40-day, either 21 or 40-day, right? Or 11-day, right? A cycle for all of them, and decide, you can say, okay, I'm going to do 11 days, 108 times repetition, or 1008 or whatever it is, right? You make a promise and you stick to 11 days or 21 days or 40 days, depends which mantra and which rules you're following, right? According to their, I don't know, right? Those details. But you do it. But with Chinnamasta, there is no such thing. There's no 40 days and 21 days. There's nothing. You start it, it's for life. Number one. Number two, you can, it can exhibit its form to you, or something can exhibit and you can become insane from seeing it. So I know a real incident of someone was doing some dangerous mantra for some general, which they said a spirit that was a general in the army in the monkey army. I mean, they're not monkeys. I'm saying monkey, right? But they look ape-like, right? Like an ape tribe, right? Like the Hanuman tribe. But the general of the army that was fighting against Ravan in the Ramayana, right? So we don't know whether it's really the general, whether there are, whatever it is. But that's what they thought. That's what he was told. That's the mantra. But he must just do it for 40 days, and it looks very fierce, right? And on the 40th day, he must look out of his window and look towards a certain mountain. He will see the figure, above the mountain, right? It will be very big, and he must not be afraid because this can be dangerous. And he did it for 40 days. On the 40th day, now these are things from Ramayana and Tantra and all what I'm talking about, right? Supposed to be religion, right? And what thousands of people are going and doing this thing, right? Millions of people. Now it's become trending in the YouTube videos. That's why I'm mentioning this exact example, right? This is really happened. Huh? So he looked at it, and on the 40th day, when he looked out the window to look, because he wants to get the siddhi, the boon, the gift. You want to have wealth, money must be easy, become strong, and overcome his enemies, and so forth, right? And yeah, he looked and he started screaming. He, he couldn't stop screaming, and he went insane. And he was never normal ever again. He was, I don't know whether he was institutionalized, but never normal again. He lost his mind, right? Permanently. 10 years later, he still lost his mind, became insane, right? This is through, doing this. People delving into these things. Let's look at some famous figure, right? Famous, everyone knows, books written about him, and guaranteed this is not this thing. Ramakrishna, his student is Swami Vivekananda, who came to address the United Nations, on yoga. I think in the late 1800s or early 1900s, right? 1902 or 1897, around there, right? He addressed, and there was like a standing ovation for him when he started his address, right? And he brought yoga to the West, right? Advaita philosophy and yoga and so forth, right? In the early 1900s. And his guru was Paramahamsa uh, Ramakrishna, not Paramahamsa, is also known as Paramahamsa, but Ramakrishna. He's in the Calcutta temple. He was a priest there. That temple still is existing, the Kali temple, right? The Dakshineshwar temple, right? The Dakshineshwar Kali, and he was worshipping. He wanted to see this form of Kali, right? He was going crazy, and everyone thought he was mad, right? Because he used to cry and pray and I don't know what not. And he saw a light, and then he saw the form. And it is recounted that when he saw the form, it was so frightening. He was screaming and screaming and screaming and screaming, right? Someone who is supposed to be very highly elevated, right? Screaming. And I'm not doing any such thing or anything, but once I saw an entity, and I'm very brave. I felt 25 years ago, I saw something so fierce. That time I did a mantra, right? And it was so fierce looking that fear personified, and fear left me. And ever since, I never have fear, right? Until recently, I saw this entity, and it was climbing over and coming. It looks like, it looked with black long hair, right? I don't describe these things and so forth, but looked very scary. And I was surprised. I was screaming on top of my voice. How stupid am I to scream, right? Because it was just coming for me, not stopping, right? And I said, this is stupid, right? But even I, with no fear, I see the worst of things, right? And I I actually for the first time, scream. Not only first time. I mean, I have this nightmares as well, and in my nightmare I screamed. And this fear you feel. But normally I'm not because I'm exorcism, right? I do exorcism. I remove these things, and last year I did a few. Out of force I had to do it, right? Not something I generally want to do, and I'm not out there to do this type of thing because it like spirals you down, right? Even talking about it in this video is not very healthy. So to be one, so there are some safer mantras. So when I made that previous videos, and there are like you want to do like some of the Hindu mantras, like the Krishna mantra, and or the Lakshmi mantra, or uh, some of the Shiva mantras and so forth, right? And as mantras, or the Islamic mantras, incantations, right? Like Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, like I'm Muslim, right? And La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. And I haven't found any, if it's from the Quran, I didn't find anything dangerous that was there from the Quran, right? That can be recited very safely, right? Very safely you can recite them. And I haven't found anyone, but you do get warnings like some of the Sufi sect that are reciting, like for example, a simple thing like Allahu, right? They just say Allahu, Allah, but they're doing like many hours of it, long, like 3 to 6 hours a day, around 6 or more hours a day, right? They're doing this and they're doing it daily, consistently. And there are people that went mad, the people that went insane, even with the Islamic, when they overdo it, right? But normally you're doing your normal prayer in a normal course of things. Even you're doing meditation for 20 minutes and so forth, no problem. I don't think there should be problem. Even medical science backs it up, right? For 20 minutes a day and so forth. There's no danger in that type of thing that is generally perceived, but when you go deeper into some of the things, you have to look and listen to some of the warning signs in these things, right? So it can be, but to when you go into it, heed the warnings and do it with caution, with taking all the necessary precautions, and do thorough research before you do it, right? So thanks to the comment made in my previous video that these things are known to be. So the purpose behind that video was that a lot of people feel that you reciting, incanting the mantra means you're worshiping. No, don't worship. Of course, a lot of people add worship. They do puja. They go down on the on the knee, on the the flat on the floor and prostrate before these devis and devas and so forth. So I believe, and even Sadhguru, so let me not talk from my Sadhguru says this the temples are is not himself, he never bow down. He does say don't do it, but he said these are energy centers. You just have to go there, sit in the vicinity, and your energy will synchronize with that energy and it will influence you positively. Right? So there's different deities with different energies. You're going to sit there to imbibe, right? So there are some people like pragmatic people who don't believe in religions. There are people who are Christians who will not pray to other gods, and Muslims will not worship, right? And Jews will not worship other. But these mantras are tools, right? You can use it as a tool, not as a worship element, and use it as a tool to because it has a sound vibration. Vibration means energy, right? Like it'll have a magnetic field. Vibration must have a magnetic field, right? So you have a magnetic field. That different vibration creates different magnetic field. So that magnetic field will influence your magnetic field in a certain way that according to the traditions will bring about a certain result. So it's good for you to experiment with these things. And some majority of people who get into this, they get no result because they're not spiritually activated. But once you're spiritually activated, these things will work always, right? I tried, but not the way how they say it works. It'll work in different ways, but bringing about more or less the same result, right? So I hope all this information helps you. And remember that if you have any ailment that cannot be healed by medical science, and you feel you've got no hope, and you're on medications and not helping you, especially it's with terminal illnesses or critical care recovery in ICU, please don't hesitate to visit my website yogawellness786.com and check out my contact details and all my information and everything that my testimonials and so forth. So hope that information helps you, and I hope to hear from you. Hope not to hear from you actually. Hope you're not gonna. Hope you're all great and fine and not needing my. And if I hear from you, it's gonna be just for information on yoga and meditation and so forth. You are welcome to contact me for free regarding that, how to awaken your kundalini and all that, right? I can give you guidance on that for free, no charge, no 2-day seminars, no retreats and all that. all this can be done in the comfort of your home anywhere, right? And safely, right? So take care of yourself.